Hey guys, and welcome back to the Zillennial Support Group, your podcast hosted by Silvana and Marriya.
Yeah, we are coming off of the hot success of our first episode.
Huge success.
Huge success that we got 2 comments on SoundCloud that clearly didn't listen to the podcast because they said we had fire taste in music and it was a pretty sick track. So
You could tell that it was, authentic fans by the way that they both used the exact same terminology of fire track. Because, if there was one word I could use to describe our podcast, it would be fire, as the kids say.
it just could mean on fire because it's just chaos.
That too. But it's encouraging to know that we've graduated from, Russian porn bot followers to get free a thousand free followers on SoundCloud bots. So, we're moving up in the world. It's beginning of our meteoric rise.
And next is taking over Jimmy Fallon.
Oh yeah, we're gonna take him out.
We're gonna take him out.
End goal.
Yeah,
that's the career goal of really any podcast. Really, is not to be on his show one day, but to take him out. He's no longer the host. We replace him.
Exactly.
With our all of our hosting skills that we clearly have.
Yeah, and it'll just be on Zillennial topics as we talk about the late 90s and early 2000s and our favorite and cringiest parts of that.
So yeah, any Zillennial topics in the news lately?
So there was recently announced on March 21st that a collaboration between ColourPop and Lizzie McGuire is coming out on March 26th.
Ooh.
Have you been following this at all?
Definitely to the extent of which where you sent me a link to it. I liked React it on a text message and then proceeded to, make a mental note. We love those. Very, very reliable, that I would check out the link at a later date. And then I never did, I just never clicked on the link.
Well, to fill you in, there are a bunch of different products. There's an eye shadow palette that has names like Bye-Bye, Please, Outfit Rememberer, Outfit Repeater, Don't Freak, and So Mature. And then there is a whole line of glitter gels called Literally Obsessed. And one of them is called Sing to Me Paolo, which is my Italian accent.
Look at that Italian accent. That was so authentic, so fresh. That was pretty fire, my friend.
Thank you so much. Are you now our SoundCloud bot?
Oh yeah. My my SoundCloud rapping career is just around the corner,
Wow.
Yeah, the mixtape's dropping anytime.
Wow.
Anytime.
It's like that feels like a
Beyonce. It's like Beyonce. It'll get you when you least expect it. You
just turn a corner and you're just there with a CD.
Oh yeah, I like all my content that I produce to have a little a fear element of whenever you're gonna ingest this content. So talking about fear and SoundCloud rapping careers, a show that was kind of during the same period as Lizzie McGuire was a little Canadian gem owned and aired by Disney called Life with Derek. Got a little traction in the news. I think in the beginning of quarantine they sort of had a reunion, and then recently there was a TikTok going around sort of reminding everybody about this very strange incestuous Disney Channel TV show about how this show that was definitely meant for kids ages 6 to 10 that sort of followed this family that played with the idea of step siblings falling in love with each other, and they thought that was good appropriate content to show to kids. But for anyone who's not familiar with the TV show Life with Derek, it aired from around 2004 to 2009, and it was sort of like a modern take on the Brady Bunch, where they had these two parents, these two single parents, get married and sort of mix their families of 3 boys and 3 girls. I'm pretty sure that was the number. And the 2 eldest siblings, a boy and a girl, sort of have that, you know, classic sibling rivalry, you know, getting on each other's nerves and falling in love in the process. You can never really tell, but the tension was there. And, you know, as the show went on, as these actors got interviewed, the sexual tension was also done very purposefully. The actors have gone on record and said that they would play up the tension in each scene, that they thought they could get away with it. And there was, during the TV show's run, fans were actively shipping these 2 step siblings, when it's not really appropriate to date your step sibling, just to be clear. But
Disclaimer.
yeah, the fans shipped these 2 characters. They called the ship Daisy, a combination of the characters' names Derek and Casey. There was fan fiction written about it, you know, fan videos made on YouTube. It was really, Disney was definitely aware of, you know, the sort of culture they were creating with this TV show. And eventually it did get canceled, because, you know, some would say the tension became too palpable. But they ended the series with a movie called Vacation with Derek at the end, and that sort of ended their whole storyline. But yeah, so the show mostly focuses on those 2 characters, how they get on each other's nerves and, you know, deal with their siblings growing up and high school and friend drama, and their relationship. Yeah, their relationship really blooms.
Wow.
Yeah, there's definitely a few videos on YouTube that they take a deep dive on scene analysis, actor interviews, and sort of unpack the controversy of how this show that really tiptoed, you know, taboo, how it made it onto a Disney Channel for kids, and how it sort of skirted inappropriateness. And parents definitely took notice too. They definitely were like, whoa, hey, what is Disney doing?
Well, I feel like Disney does this. Like, I don't know. I was watching a few episodes of the Tangled TV show, and like,
Ooh.
it's just like I would have loved to be a writer in the Tangled room, and they're like, okay, so we need some characters for the new Tangled. Who do we have? Rapunzel, obviously. How about a guy who turns from criminal to good? And then how about the town drunk man? Like, why do you have the town drunk as a key character in a Disney?
Right? Every child needs a drunk guy figure in their life, you know?
Yeah.
Totally relatable.
Well, like, I just don't understand why this guy named Shorty is there. And I'm sure characters have been like, wow, why is he so loopy, Mom? Like, why are we having these discussions?
Yeah. I mean, do kids really need to be able to discern who's drunk and who's not of the adults in their lives?
Yeah, it's a
I would
training
hope
manual.
not. Yeah. I mean, I guess Disney's just looking out for those kids who aren't, you know, so lucky. But since life with Derek has, you know, come and gone, the actors have always, on, you know, the 10-year anniversary, when they had their reunion during quarantine, they've always been very vocal about how they supported the ship and how they, you know, like to keep the fandom alive through this unrequited love that really will never be requited.
Except in fanfiction.
The actors were about, you know, in their late teens during the time, and I think they're both in their early 30s now. The actress who played Casey, I'm pretty sure her name is, I forget her name. Her last name is Legat, though.
Ashley Legat.
Ashley. I was like, is it Allison? But the actress, Ashley Legat, she ended up marrying like her teenage sweetheart and has had like a really long, prosperous marriage. She has, I think, 2 kids now.
Have we seen the family tree?
The family tree. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she didn't end up marrying someone inside her family.
Do we
but
know?
She has created a family of her own.
Wouldn't it be terrifying if I think the only thing that would be more terrifying about Life with Derek if the writer came out and was like, "Oh yeah, it was autobiographical."
The perfect inspiration. But yeah, she's somewhat retired from acting. She had a few more gigs. She actually ended up starring a few years later in a movie directed by the actor who played Derek, Michael Cedar. So they've remained really close friends since they've stopped working together. Unlike Ashley, Michael actually starred in quite a few Canadian-produced TV shows, similar to Life with Derek, who you can recognize. Canadian teen television loves to reuse all their actors, and so you can see everyone who's been on Degrassi was also on Life with Derek, was also on this TV show called 18 to Life that he did later. So he kind of stayed within that Canadian bubble, and he directed some stuff, I think. And I think he's still working now. But when they had their little reunion, I think in March of 2020, she was very happy with her family life, and he as an actor, I'm pretty sure, came out as queer identifying later in life. So even if fans were holding out that, oh, maybe the step siblings can't get together, but maybe the actors have such good chemistry, maybe they got together in real life. No, they didn't. They did not.
Well, sorry for the letdown.
Right. The actress actually got married pretty young, when she was 24, and he's just out here living his best life. He's got, cool hair now. And they both aged really well. Both of the actors look really similar to how they did when they were young. I mean, early 30s isn't that old either, but they're doing well. They're doing very well.
Did you watch Life with Derek as a kid?
Yeah, so I was, in fact, a big fan of Canadian television, and specifically Life with Derek. I can't remember if I was aware of the taboo of their relationship, or if I recognized their sexual chemistry as a child. Mm-hmm. I definitely enjoyed the show, but yeah, I was sad. I think I did really want them to get together, but didn't really know what that meant as a kid. Mm-hmm. Again, step sibling love is very taboo. It's not something a child really has a grasp on, but I really liked the show. Was kind of sad when it got canceled, but I also probably wasn't aware of any sort of end game that could happen before the end of the show. I never saw the movie, though. I wasn't aware of that. I think that only was distributed in Canada and didn't really make it to the US. Yeah. Probably the same reason why I got canceled by Disney was because it was a bit too risque, I guess. But yeah, it's been nice to see sort of different TV characters have little reunions because of quarantine, and Zoom, makes these things a bit easier.
What else are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, that's so true. What else are we going to do when we're locked in our houses but just relive our childhood nostalgia and
our childhood incest.
Exactly. And just
live
reality through, right? Live reality through television, because the real world isn't as great. Mm-hmm. But during interviews, the actors definitely acknowledged the Derek and Casey relationship, and at one point in an interview, they actually read some fan fiction out loud. The fan base was very, very involved and very creative as well, and so many fans during the time wrote fan fiction of their own where that unrequited love was in fact requited. And I'm pretty sure we have some fan fiction here for you today.
Oh yeah. Did you you don't have to answer, but did you write fan fiction as a child?
I did not write Life with Derek fan fiction. I think when I was a fan of the show, I was a bit young too to not really know what fan fiction was or where to find it. As I grew older, I definitely dabbled in the fan fiction world of reading a lot of fan fiction. I did not write any fan fiction though. I didn't have that, creative mind that a lot of children had at the time.
I wrote a lot of fan fiction.
You did?
Yeah, I was
Not Life of
actually,
Derek fan
I
fiction.
got pretty successful on Wattpad for like one story that I wrote with
You
like
did?
my
Were you a
internet.
secretly famous Wattpad author?
Well, I feel like I don't know. I mean, it wasn't like super, super famous, but I think we got up to like 13,000 reads or something. And
Wow,
like,
that's
but we
impressive.
were one of those that like just never returned to our story.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is that fan fiction gave kids that outlet to explore storylines that maybe were a bit like, they were guilty pleasure TV shows or something that like you didn't really share with your friends, but everyone in middle school was reading fan fiction.
Oh yeah.
So you'd have all these, 13-year-olds secretly celebrities with like a million followers who would read their content and no one knew. So
No
I
one knew.
guess a little surprise for our little Zillennial support group fan base
Yeah.
is that we're in the presence of a celebrity and we had no idea the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember what it's called, but it's still on Wattpad. It's the fandom version of a version of Divergent. And there's a whole
Divergent?
faction called Fangirl, and all of the kids have like character names.
Oh my god.
It's like Hermione, like so and so is like one of the main.
Oh my god. Brilliant. Amazing. Oh my
And they're
god.
like
I did.
to get through like initiation, they have to like binge Netflix and eat a lot of Nutella and stuff.
Oh my god. That's amazing. Wow. I did read a lot of fan fiction when I was a kid. I read a lot of original fiction too. Um, I sort of drifted into, fanfiction.net and AO3 a little bit later in my experience, but I started out in Quizilla actually.
Oh.
There was this. It was owned by the N Network, which aired a lot of Canadian television shows as well, besides Disney. Um, it was owned by the N, and you could create content basically that was like any sort of blog content. Like you could post stories, you could post lyrics, poetry, quizzes. There was it was really a whole other part of culture of my youth, but besides all these different things that people created, a lot of people did write uh, original fiction and fan fiction sometimes in the story section of the website Quizilla, even though it's technically like a quiz website, which is why it was called Quizilla. But there was a ton of like just kids writing original stories, and some of those stories were still the best books I've ever read, and they're just like not published,
A
written by
few
teens.
Shakespeare.
Right, a lot of teen
You're
vampire
not as good
fiction, a
as
lot of
Daisy
yeah,
Lover 365.
right. See, like a lot of the romantic tropes that are popular in media today in YA fiction, originated with these, you know, teen kids writing their own fiction online and just sharing it with the world because that's what they wanted to read and they didn't see that, in the
I
books.
I love fan fiction tropes. One of my favorite ones is like she let out like the breath she didn't know she was holding. Like
Oh my
what
god.
there are
It's
some times during my
I've read
day
that so
where
many
I'm just
times.
like where did that come from?
And then suddenly you're the main character of this,
Yeah.
over dramatic fan fiction. It's amazing. But yeah, a lot of you could see a lot of the same tropes in books like Twilight and things like that. But a lot of vampire fiction at the time, a lot of like boarding school stuff, a lot of falling in love with your favorite band member stories.
Did you
A
see
lot
the
of
One Direction one?
Yeah, some of them got very, very famous. There was a lot of like fake marriages, fake engagements, getting married at 16 stories. And some of the bigger ones, like they're very famous Harry Potter fan fiction, very famous One Direction fan fiction that eventually, like, some of these actually like got bought. The very famous example of 50 Shades of Grey was Twilight fan fiction. And some of these kids like ended up, you know, when they turned 18, got a bit older, went to college, they ended up getting book deals and like publishing, being scouted by agents and getting to publish their fan fiction that they wrote as teens.
Well, everyone knows I hate the kissing booth, but that did start on Wattpad.
Right? That could have been you, Marriya. Did Marriya write the kissing booth and has been keeping her identity a secret? Who's to say?
Don't reveal my Hannah Montana secret.
She just got very quiet right then. Oh my god.
I had the best of both worlds, Silvana, until you got involved.
Wow. I can't believe I was the person who took down Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so do you want to read?
Yeah, let's dive into it.
So I emailed some to myself. I was like really nervous when I emailed it because I was like, what if I accidentally emailed someone else Stacy fan fiction? So let's see what we got. This is one of the mature ones, so I have to say that I'm an adult. Are you ready?
Are you an adult? I'm an adult.
I am.
Are you? Okay. That was also a big draw of the fan fiction, was that, you know, you could explore the storylines that maybe a teen at the time shouldn't have been exploring.
Well, because it wasn't even like, it just says, are you an adult? Proceed. Anyone could fucking push a button.
Yeah, I figured that out very early when I was, you know, a teen on the internet reading fan fiction, going on YouTube, was that you can lie about your age.
What?
Very slippery slope, my friends. But let's get into it.
This is called When I Think About You, I Touch Myself.
Oh my god. Like that song?
And the summary is, Casey doesn't bother to announce her arrival home as she usually does, and learns the mistake in that.
Wow. The stakes are so high.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Also, this is like maybe weird to read about like teenagers, so let's pretend that we can age them up.
Well, you know, they're seniors in high school during the show.
Okay. Casey didn't bother to announce her arrival home as she usually did, since she knew no one would be there to appreciate it. Her mom and George were both at work. Edwin, Lizzie, and Marty were all at school for the various after-school activities that kept them occupied, while her mom and George were at work. And Derek, as always, was off amusing himself with sports or girls, or sports and girls.
Casey, I also totally forgot all the characters' names, and now I'm like, oh yeah, that person was named George.
Casey gloriously had the house to herself, if only for an hour or so. She imagined that when Derek had the house to himself, he banged around it as noisily as he did when he was sharing it, crashing through the door, turning up the speakers, yelling. Casey closed the door near silently behind her, lay her backpack, on the kitchen counter, poured herself a glass of milk. Remember when you used to drink milk?
Oh my god, these details, these unnecessary steps of like just the physical actions she's taking throughout these rooms. Classic fan fiction.
And drank rather than gulped, unlike other certain individuals she knew. She was civilized, after all.
Wow.
She had taken off her shoes. She's still going through this procedure.
We love all this detail.
And made her way up the stairs when she heard a groan coming from the direction of Derek's room. She froze. Were they being robbed?
Because every time I've been robbed, which I've never been robbed, the robbers come in, they're not quiet. They groan while they rob you, while they steal your TVs and laptops.
Casey briefly considered calling the police, but decided she should at least investigate first. Thank you, Casey, for not using the police.
Imagine hearing a groan in someone's house and immediately calling the police. What are you going to tell the operator, whoever is like, they're like, oh my God, what's your emergency? And you're like, someone's groaning in my house.
It interrupted my glass of milk.
Right? Oh my god. But literally, what teenager drinks milk these days? I'm so sorry. Like,
But
anyways.
she grabbed the empty vase sitting on the table. Vase clutched in both hands, Casey crept towards Derek's door, which was slightly ajar. She
Oh my god,
paused.
I love the use of the word ajar.
She paused, heard another groan, and peered through the crack. It was definitely not a robber. Unless the robber had already been in and stolen Derek's clothes. Good thing she's thinking through all this.
Yeah,
Okay,
if
so
someone steals your
what would be
clothes,
the
I wouldn't call them a robber. I'd call them
Mhm.
something else. But
But like, let's think about the timeline here. When would they have gotten in and stolen his clothes first?
and then just like left, been like that was all we wanted. Have a nice day.
It's just all part of the plan to groan in the room.
Oh my god.
Because there was naked. There's because I got ahead of myself. Because there was Derek lying on his bed, completely buck naked. Casey swallowed, be it either a gasp or a lump. Because not only was he naked, he was dot 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 erect. Well, okay,
Oh
he
my
was
god.
hard, very hard, and seemed
these
to be.
these people are writing about a children's show
And it's
that
at the
aired on Disney
time. No,
Channel.
wait, this was
Oh my
yeah,
god.
this was published in 2009.
Wow.
So right at the
Oh,
end.
so that was towards the end of the. They were of age. They were
Mhm.
seniors in high school.
Oh, this is awful. Well, okay, he
Um,
was hard, very hard, and seemed to be enjoying that very much. Casey stood frozen, watching as Derek ran his thumb over the head of his dick, then traced his fingers slowly down the underside. It's all listing with her. It's all listing.
Sometimes you have to be a bad writer to be able to be a good writer. You
Skating
go
over
further.
his
You have to get
balls.
those bad drafts out of the way. Oh,
Mhm.
okay, continue.
And we'll stop there. So
Wow.
that's that one.
I'm glad they had the adult restriction, man.
Yeah. This one's actually really pure. I think someone just wanted to talk about their views on the Transformers movie. So it's called Autobots and Lovebirds.
Aw.
That was just pure awesome, Emily shouted excitedly as they left the movie theater. Yeah, those special effects were really awesome, Sam said, thinking about the movie. Yeah, I have to say the movie was really excellent. Looks so lifelike, Casey asked. And you have to admit, Shia LaBeouf and Josh Duhamel? How do you even
Da-
say
da-
his name?
I feel like there's an extra syllable somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dishamel?
Looked,
Oh no.
yeah, maybe? Looked really
Maybe.
hot, especially Josh, Emily nodded excitedly. Oh, yeah, they were total hotties in this movie, Emily agreed, causing Derek and Sam to groan in annoyance. Yeah, right. The real hotties in Transformers were Megan Fox and that girl who played Maggie. What's her name? Derek asked, thinking. Casey glared angrily at Derek, who smirked in return at her. Rachel Taylor, Sam supplied happily. Yeah, she is. Wasn't she? She was so hot in this movie. I hope her character is in the sequel. Emily glared at Sam. I highly doubt it, but I did find her character really cool. Too bad she didn't get an Autobot of her own. She totally deserved
Wow.
one. And
Wow. Yeah, smirking was also a big trend with fan fiction.
uh,
Also, I think just characters at the time in any media.
Sam shook his head, realizing the argument would only get worse. Come on, you two lovebirds, let's get some food. Emily giggled at his choice of words and watched as Casey and Derek looked at each other in shock before glancing over to Sam in anger. We are not lovebirds, Casey and Derek shouted at the same time, which that would have freaked me out. That's like some Autobot behavior, which caused both their friends into laughter. Remember when I caused you into laughter?
You just caused me into laughter.
Whatever you say, Sam stated, as he and Emily walked towards the food court of the mall. How the hell do they know?
Aw.
Casey muttered, surprised. I don't know, Derek stated. Like that's a surprise, Casey stated, smirking. Derek glared at her. Casey's smirk
The
turned into a
glaring.
smile. as she
The
pulled his
smirking.
arm to get him to follow Sam and Emily. Come on.
Wow. Classic.
Remember Transformers?
I have never seen a Transformers movie actually.
Well, you just basically saw one.
Exactly. That was real in depth.
Do you want another one?
Sure.
This is called Naturally Wrong.
Oh.
Disclaimer, she says, I do not own Life with Derek. In case we were curious if
Oh
this was the
wow.
writer.
You're saying the creator and showrunner of the TV show Life with Derek isn't the one writing this fan fiction?
It's surprising, I
Crazy.
know. Well,
I love how whatever person wrote this was so afraid of the law of someone coming and saying, "Hey, we have licensing fees."
well,
That
I
they
believe
felt they needed
the
that
uh,
disclaimer.
CIA, NSA have a whole fan fiction task force.
Oh,
That
definitely,
will,
right? Huge, huge, underground black market
yeah,
industry of all these kids, not making money
yeah.
of their content.
Um, okay, you ready for Naturally Wrong?
Yes.
She knew it was wrong, but she couldn't
Oh
help
my
it.
god. That moment in the movie where they say the title of the movie.
It was wrong to be having these thoughts, the dreams, to lust after him. She didn't have to be a nun to know that.
Wow.
She wasn't a nun, that's good to know. Of course, a nun wouldn't even get herself in these types of situations. But if she had
Wow.
happened to do exactly that, even a nun wouldn't be able to resist. She's really into the
Wow.
nun thing. I feel like
I guess
someone
she
just
just
saw
knows a lot
Sound of
about
Music.
nuns, nun culture, nunneries.
Someone just saw Sound of Music for the very first time.
Yeah.
No matter how great the sin is, she wouldn't be able to resist. Didn't he once say that
Wow.
no woman
Religious
could
undertones.
Didn't he once say that no woman could resist his charms? At first she had proven that statement wrong, but now even she, Casey MacDonald, had fallen for his charms, good looks, and dare she say it, his personality. Speak of the devil. Her eyes traveled
Wow.
up and down, admiring his body as he stepped out of
Wow.
the bathroom wearing nothing but a towel around his waist. He was in
Wow.
better shape than she could have ever imagined. Not that she had always imagined him half naked, only on those rare occasions. You know, when you plan out to think about someone half naked, but you plan it so you don't think about it too much.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
put it like every once in a while,
Just
you just put it
it
on the
just
Google
pops up in your
Calendar.
schedule,
Yeah,
as a rarity.
exactly. But she had to admit, he did have a well defined body, one that had matured, became hotter, since his high school hockey days. She knew he had been staring at her while she checked him out, but it became a lot more obvious and embarrassing when her eyes met his. As if she wasn't embarrassed enough, she could feel the heat rush to her face, letting him know how embarrassed she was. Although she was
Wow.
embarrassed, how many times are we using embarrassed? This is our fourth use of embarrassed, and felt like a complete idiot. She couldn't help but stare back at him for what seemed like forever before she
Wow.
broke
The way fan fiction made me terrified of eye contact.
before she broke the hypnotic staring battle. It was hypnotic.
Wow.
Do you like what you see? Derek asked, smirking. That stupid, sexy, that she had never thought his smirk could be anything but annoying, smirk that she'd seen ever since she had known him. Sorry, Casey
Wow.
mumbled, looking down at the floor, uncomfortable with the situation, which was really, really weird for her. A week
Wow.
ago, she would have made a comment about him being a slob or something of that nature. He would call her a prude, and thus the start of another fight would have been born. But now she wasn't so dot 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 herself. She
Oh my
turned
god. What changed in a week?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
She turned to leave the room, flee to her bedroom, but a firm and strong hand held her grounded. What's wrong with you? He asked, his voice seemingly She could never tell with him, laced with concern. Nothing, she lied. Something she was never good at. Trying her hardest to make sure Derek, the Lord of Lies, hadn't noticed. Yeah, and I'm a freaking monk. Good, because she's a nun. We want to
Wow. Match made
remember.
in heaven.
Yeah.
In good old Christian heaven.
Derek's sarcastic voice cut in, advancing towards her, backing her into the wall.
Oh my God. We
Wait,
love a
where
wall in
is
fan
she? I thought she
fiction.
was.
I thought they were in the house, like outside in the hallway.
Normally, I would be ecstatic that you finally stopped nagging me. But I live to torture you, and it's not
But I
any.
live to torture you.
And it's not any fun if you don't get mad and try to get back at me. If you don't return back to your nagging, complaining, list making self, I'm going to get the parents involved. And I know you don't want them involved. He threatened with a glare at her.
The parents
Figure
that
it
they
out,
share.
or I'm going to make the call. He finished with a final warning before stalking to his room and slamming the door, leaving Casey stunned silent, staring at the door in shock. But
Wow.
okay, yeah, I was just trying to figure out where like geographically they were because she was up against a wall, but it seemed like she
Yeah.
was like
Because I
outside the
think
door frame.
it's so hard to tell with fan fiction writers where exactly they are in a scene, despite their over description. But
Mm-hmm.
in my head, they were like outside of a bathroom in a hallway and
Mm-hmm.
then going into other rooms.
Maybe it's one cinematic universe and she had just come back from drinking a glass of milk
Right? Exactly.
and there was a groan. She had to look for the robber.
Oh my God.
Um,
But yeah. I feel like I think it's just all these stories that came out of this Disney Channel show is just a testament to how well kids pick up on subtext, man.
can I read
And
you
you
one more
know,
summary?
sure.
This one, just the summary says, "There's a serial killer in town, and he has
I
eyes
love
on
it.
Casey."
Creativity, man. Endless creativity from teens online. Wow.
But yeah, the
Yeah. If
buzz
you
was incredible for this
it
show.
was. If you Google their ship name Daisy on YouTube, you can still see some of the old videos these fans used to make about, clipping together all those tiny little scenes where they, stolen glances, a touch that lingered too long, all played in slow mo to Coldplay music or like old 2000s ballads. It was really, the 2000s was really an era of, that whole sort of fan fiction, fandom culture around kids YA TV shows kind of blossomed.
Mm-hmm. Do you
Um,
think Life with Derek
and
was just clueless fan fiction?
honestly, yes. that step sibling, ex step sibling, current step sibling love.
Yeah.
It was hot during those days.
I just feel like it was weird because it was like even Stevens, but if like Lewis and Ren kissed or wanted to kiss.
Or like weren't related by
Mhm.
blood or whatever.
Yeah, I don't
But
know. None of the reviews that I found seemed to really be clued in to the fact that
yeah, even its inspiration, the Brady Bunch also had those scenes that, had that underlying tension as subtext. And they just like glossed over it. We're like, we'll include it and then not address it like it's normal when it's not normal for kids to
yeah.
act that way. But, it was really, I'm pretty sure, the kids that grew up watching Life with Derek, seeing that subtext, rooting for the step siblings to get together were the same teens that, would write Twilight fan fiction and, go on to become, the Wattpad celebrities of their day.
Mm-hmm.
This was their origin story. This was their call to action, was
Mm-hmm.
them seeing these two step siblings have a forbidden love.
You want to hear
And could
some?
only be requited through the minds of and the creativities of their fans.
Of course,
So,
of course. Do you want to hear some great reviews?
Sure. Are these from parents or from people?
These
Or
are,
from
I think,
viewers?
I'm positive these are children mainly.
Oh, okay.
There's
Yeah, go
this
for it.
great one from math_drama 11.
Ooh,
Life
okay.
with Derek is an awesome show. I love to watch it. I'm not totally obsessed with it, but if I'm bored and I turn on the TV and see that it's on, I will watch it. But I don't check on the
Same.
Disney Channel website to make sure when it's on and then get upset that I don't get to watch it.
Describes the process that definitely doesn't happen.
And then this one is from KTC 93115. I am an older viewer. My son and I both love to watch the show and wish it were on more regularly. Also, if I were 10 years younger, Ashley Leggett would be a major crush of mine. Kevin. Kevin, we don't
Wow.
have time to unpack all that.
Wow.
Um, this one was really strange. Uh, the title of it was "Blame Canada?" question mark by
Oh.
not Doc Noel Cat 12. It is really a shame that IMDb doesn't let you give negative votes. This is the most hideously awful show ever foisted on the
Wow.
American public by our usually likable neighbors to the north. The father is as charming as a well-used fire hydrant with the same hygiene standards. The mother is a wax museum mannequin. The kids are non-entities if female and repulsive beyond belief if male, especially the title character. The boy
Oh
is a
my
serious
God.
contender for most insanely smug, self-satisfied, arrogant, and vain male character on Disney, which is saying
Wow.
something. The show is obviously conceived
Roasted.
as the anti-Brady Bunch, but it comes off as the Antichrist.
Oh my God. Also, what kind of comparison is a fire hydrant? I don't even know what that means.
I don't know. Um,
Wow.
this one made me question the show. I didn't remember it that much, but they
Yeah.
said, um, whatever happened to shows with united parental figures? Instead of punishing the youngest child for being manipulative, they let her get away with murder. Does she kill
Sounds
someone?
like an older sibling.
Does she kill someone?
Maybe, I mean, Disney got away with a lot back then, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe she did commit murder.
This one is wild. Personally, I want life with Derek all the time. I'd go into a coma if they took it away. I would scream, I want life with Derek. I don't care what others say. Life with Derek is one of the better shows on Disney, and if you haven't seen it, I recommend watching it. My brain will slowly start dissolving until I die if it is canceled. Hee hee.
Oh my
I don't
God.
know. I just hope that if they
Did
cancel,
she die?
I just hope that if they cancel Life with Derek, we will have DVDs with episodes or even a movie. 89% of the people I have quizzed 100, said Life with Derek is an awesome show, and if it was canceled, they would have to settle for bad shows that will take Life with Derek's time slot. Who could live with that?
Oh my God. They did get canceled though.
And then I really, really like this one just because it says, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love this show. 10 out of 10 for me. But the one thing that creeps me out is that Ashley Leggett is almost 20 years old playing a teenager.
Yeah.
Have you seen Glee? I'm sure Monkey Face
Have you seen
7712
the
was
movie
upset.
Grease where they were literally 30-year-olds playing high schoolers?
Almost 20
Wow.
is too much.
Yeah. They forget sometimes that child labor laws do exist and
Hmm.
TV shows do hire adults to play teenagers.
Yeah.
Um yeah, which is maybe how they can get away with things. But yeah, it was kind of nice seeing that TikTok show up in my feed, seeing those videos on YouTube kind of unlock this memory of like, oh yeah, remember when Disney promoted step sibling incest on Disney Channel?
And it's not on
Crazy.
Disney Plus.
Yeah, for they know what they did and they're trying not to repeat the mistakes. They're trying to hide that part of their past. So what we decided to do as a podcast is to rehash it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
make sure that they don't get away with it.
Yeah.
hopefully you enjoyed this trip down memory lane. Let us know if you also wrote fan fiction when you were a kid, or if you remember
Send it to us
watching.
if you want us to read it.
Yeah. Let us know if you remember watching the show, how you felt about it, if you picked up on the underlying subtext as a small child.
And if we get maybe I'm going to say 10 comments about our sick music taste, maybe we'll read the fangirl Divergent fan fiction.
Yeah.
So
Relive
10
Mario's glory
SoundCloud
days.
bots and we're
Yeah.
in.
So comment below, SoundCloud bots. Yeah. Tune in next week for new childhood traumas and memories to be rehashed, like like Life with Derek and good old Lizzie McGuire.
This is a safe space.
This is a safe space.
But we will out your fan fiction.
That is a promise, because we just did it. So, yeah. Follow us next week and find out what we'll discuss next.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye.